Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of Data AI by Wits. Today, we're going to be talking about what is machine learning. We're going to go through the definition, the characteristics, the examples of machine learning, the types of machine learning, and we're going to go through an overview of the types of machine learning. So, without further ado, I think we should get started. What do you think? Should we? I think we should. So let's just go back to the first screen and we'll get started. Okay, so we are going to go through what exactly is machine learning. As per definition, machine learning is a field of study in artificial intelligence concerned with the development and study of statistical algorithms that can learn from data and generalize to unseen data and thus perform tasks without explicit instructions. I will put it very simply for you. Machine learning is literally just coined between machine and learning, which simply stands for making the machines learn. Now, how do we make the machines learn in such a way that when the machine ends up learning and I, as an external user, give some input data to the machine knows what to do with that data without me having to instruct the machine what it is supposed to do with it. It's just as simple as that. We make the machine learn what to do with the data so that whenever it handles such kind of data, it does not need an explicit person to instruct it to what as to what it should be doing. And how do we do this? So before I go deep into this example, let me just take a quick scenario wherein a teacher is teaching a student how to do 2 plus 2 in class. And she teaches the student how to count like 2 plus 2, that is 4. And in the exam, the student is asked how to do 3 plus 3. And the student is expected that they would know that they just have to add it and give the answer 6. That is how we validate if the student has learned correctly or not. Machine learning is pretty much similar. Whenever we have an input data, we split it into two parts. One part is training, the other part is testing. The training part goes to the learning algorithm, wherein we make the algorithm learn as to what it is supposed to do with the data. That then goes to the validating method. What do we do with the validating method? We give the validating method input data as a test data, some data which the method has not seen before, and we expect that method to handle the data and give the expected output based on what it had learned. Pretty much how an exam scenario works. Now, what are the examples of machine learning? So we have speech recognition, natural language processing, prediction, robot control, diagnosis. Diagnosis, as in, let's just take an example, if a tumor is malignant or benign, and many more examples like that. These are all the places where we use machine learning. Now, there are three types of machine learning: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforced learning. What do we mean when we say supervised learning? So in supervised learning, to the machine, we give input some sort of labeled data along with the labels. As you can see, the input is simply geometric shapes. But with that, we also give the label of what each of these shapes is called. That goes to the machine, which then goes to the validating method, which is going to be our ML model. And for testing, we give them two shapes. One is a triangle and one is a circle. And that is the expected output. And then the machine learning model performs the predictions as per the expected output. So this is called supervised learning. Why is it called supervised? Basically, because the input data that we give it along with labels. So the input data is well known, like what it is easier for the machine to understand what it is supposed to do with the data, what could be the expected outputs, and how is the machine supposed to function. That is why we call it as supervised learning. These are some of the algorithms of supervised learning. I'll give you a minute to go through all of these, and then we'll proceed with unsupervised learning. Okay, now let's proceed with unsupervised learning. So what happens in unsupervised learning exactly? In unsupervised learning, we just have a random mumbo jumbo of shapes as an input. Full disclaimer, these shapes are just an example. So we have unlabeled data as an input. We don't have labels. We don't know what each of these geometric shapes are called. That goes to the machine, and the machine then performs analysis on its own. Like, what is it supposed to do with the unlabeled data? Of course, the machine is not going to be able to, magically just turn that into labeled data. So what the machine predicted is, it just sorted these shapes according to the number of sides that they have. It just clustered it that way, just segmented it and formed groups of it that way. So for the first, we have four-sided figure. Then we have no-sided figure. Then we have six-sided figures. So that is what the machine did with the unlabeled data based on its own judgment. That is what pretty much happens with unsupervised learning. So we don't have labeled data or the labels that goes as an input, and the machine then tries to identify what it is supposed to do with the data on its own and gives us a set of outputs. These are some of the examples of unsupervised learning algorithm. Lastly, we have reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning pretty much works on the principle of punishment and reward. So what happens is there's an agent, there's an environment, and there's some action that the agent does. Let's look at it through the example perspective. So in this case, our baby is our agent. The environment is pretty much an empty room, and the state is an action, so, which is going to be crawling. So the baby, let's just say the baby starts crawling towards the milk bottle, and as a reward, the baby gets the milk. Instead of crawling towards the milk bottle, had the baby crawled towards, let's say, an edge of a table, the baby would have hurt itself, and that would have been his punishment. So, in this way, the baby starts knowing that if she crawls towards the milk bottle, she gets the milk. That is a reward. If she crawls towards the table, she gets hurt. That's her punishment. So now she knows that she can crawl towards the milk bottle, but she shouldn't be crawling towards the table. That is what reinforcement learning is. It pretty much functions on the concepts of agent, environment, and action. And then, based upon the action, whether the algorithm gets rewarded or does the algorithm gets punished. And in the further iterations, then the algorithm decides that way, like what action is it supposed to take, pretty much like a baby. The baby then learns that where she's supposed to crawl and where she's not supposed to crawl. That is how reinforcement learning works. These are some of the examples of reinforcement learning algorithms. And that's all we're going to discuss for today. In the upcoming videos, we're going to talk about deep learning, we're going to talk about large language models, ChatGPT, BARD, and many more things. So if you found that this video was helpful, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you know when we post next. And you could also leave comments about what kind of videos or what topics you want me to cover in the future. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.